And again, answering are the Eagles.
Gatto now, 4-3. That's 2 in a row for the freshman. The steal, the spin, behind the back, splitting the double team. Elliott! Oh! Ryan Thomas with a jam. Baxter with authority for his first points of the night. That could be an SC top 10.
What's going on, guys? It's Elliott here with Russell. Back to business in the studio. It's been like a month and a half, almost 2 months.
Way too long.
Yeah, I know. We've had some life get in the way of things. I'll go into that a little bit. I recently got myself a puppy. Brought her home when she was 6.5 weeks. She's a French bulldog. With a little bit of Shih Tzu, or some people call them Shih Tzus, which I think they just don't like saying shit.
That's probably right.
So technically, she's a bullshit, and she's
I think you should have paused for a badum-ts in there.
Yeah. She's awesome. She's full of energy. She's teething, so
Lots of little puppy scars.
She's cute for a bit until she makes you bleed.
Right.
And then, Russell, what's been going on in your life that's,
FGCU 24/7. No, more like 23/6. But anyways, me and my fiance have recently come very close to acquiring a new house for us. Things aren't 100% checked out yet, but they're in the 90s.
Finally get out of my hair.
Right.
For those who didn't know, Russell and I have been roommates for a while, ever since college.
Yeah.
Kind of bonded over, well, actually, we didn't really bond over FGCU basketball until damn near the end of college.
Well,
no, I take that back.
Yeah, actually, one of the first times I met you had to do with FGCU basketball.
Yeah, well, we'll scratch that.
Right.
I guess we didn't get real into it this level
right
until, after school.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, congrats.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, exciting times.
Lots of new stuff.
We'll have to get more active with the pods and maybe upgrade the studio a bit.
Yeah. Have a couple extra rooms.
Yeah.
Nice big studio for all our guests. Anybody wants to be a guest, literally just message us somehow.
Nah, we'll be a little more active in the off season because that's when we're dying for more info and
that's
news.
when we want more news. So by virtue of that, you're going to get more news with us just talking about all the ifs and ands and all that. We got a lot of things planned for the off season too, some sooner than later, but we'll get into that when we get into that.
Yep. So at the time of recording this, we just wrapped up the regular season. So the last 2 games of the season, we won against Jacksonville, and then unfortunately the last game, last night, we lost to North Alabama. And kind of not really a heartbreaker, not a buzzer beater, nothing. Well, it was overtime, but it was neck and neck.
It was a great game if you're just a fan.
And we had a step up at the end.
Right.
And then they made some big plays.
Bad officiating. I'm not afraid to say that.
Well, it was bad. Just a couple shots that didn't go our way.
Yeah. A couple of unfortunate. I mean, it's always a little bit of bad officiating. It's a little bit of should have done something different. It's a little bit of they made clutch shots when they needed to. It's all of it. And, you just point blame where you want to because it sucks.
But we've never had that closer killer instinct.
Yeah, not this
all
year.
Season.
Not yet.
So, I mean, it wasn't that surprising, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, we end up 10-21.
Correct.
And
don't end up. We end up for now at
10. No, regular season. We're still talking regular season. Conference 7-9.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts ending the season? There's for sure there's been some improvements, but it's kind of
It's I think you got to look at it in parts, because if you just look at the whole season and say 10-21, that's like you win a little over 30% of your games, and that's not great. But and especially going into the season, you sort of have blinders on as a fan of like second year with Michael Fly. So, some of the returning, even if it's only 3 guys, they're returning. They played with him last year. It's, more of his guys instead of Dooley's guys. And, let's make some leaps and bounds. And then, what do we predict at the beginning of the season just with our little gut gamble thing, just messing around? It was like 18 wins?
17 or 18 wins.
Yeah, no. And you knew that wasn't going to be the case about 3-4 games into the season. So it's like when you reevaluate after, those first few games where we're 0-4 we started, and then we finally got that win against Florida Atlantic. So it's a little bit of like almost false hope of like, oh, okay, here we are. Now we're going to be good from here on out because that's what we're used to as fans. And then, no, that's not the case either. That was our only D1 conference win going into, or D1 non-conference win going into conference play. But still, the ASUN, we've walked all over it in the past. So it's like you get to ASUN, sure, we don't have a lot of wins, but, well, we're going to, lose 3, 4, 5 conference games and, come out, in a top seed. As conference play starts, you realize, no, that's not going to happen either. At the same time, a lot of fans were jumping off the wagon and throwing their hands in the air, and somewhat rightfully so. But, you take a step back, you think about it, and it's like we had a very poor record prior to conference. We still don't have a great record, but we're, damn near 500 in conference, a game away. And all the teams, Sans Liberty and UNF, are neck and neck, with the exception of Kennesaw. 0-16 in conference. Just makes me feel better to say that. And it is what it is for now. It was a tough season, still a tough season, but it's definitely gotten better if you think about it in parts.
Yeah, we got to remember and realize that, we've had a good solid team since the 2012-2013 season. For the most part, season in, season out. So that's about 7 years of acceptable basketball
At least
records.
Acceptable, yeah.
Dooley provided 5 years, 20-win seasons. We made the tournament, was it 3 times or 4?
Yeah, I think 3. The real tournament 3 times, I think.
Right. And we had a CIT and NIT in there.
Yeah.
So it's hard to, especially for something that's gone on that long, of acceptable or great seasons, and you have a real down year for 2 years. So it's like 2 years all of a sudden seems like it's a decade of bad of bad play.
Yep.
When in reality it's not. Then credit to the women, they're
Dominant
insane
every single year.
What was that little tidbit we heard the other day?
I was thinking about that earlier. I can't remember.
216, exactly. I believe. 200 wins, 16 losses.
Against the ASUN opponents.
At home.
Yeah.
Or was that?
I think that was all time, maybe.
Yeah. I think it is all time.
Yeah. But regardless, that's
whatever
insane.
it is, that's crazy.
Yep.
And so you couple their success with, the fans of the men's team, and it's harder to swallow.
Yep.
So I think overall, especially these last few games, I've noticed the chemistry and fluidity of the players looking a lot better. So see what we can do in this ASUN Tourney. We're a 6th seed playing Lipscomb.
Which is interesting in itself because, prior to the game against UNA, we were, tied for the 5th seed and trying to play the 4th seed, who at the time looked like it was Lipscomb to be a lock as the 4. And, trying to play Lipscomb instead of losing and maybe playing Stetson. Well, it ends up that Stetson ends up being the 4th seed and is going to play UNA, whereas we fall to the 6th seed and we're going to play Lipscomb anyway. So it's like, did it really matter? Not necessarily. Plus, I saw online a lot of people were thinking that it'd be better to play Stetson than Lipscomb, and I'm not really in that camp. We split the series against both of those teams in conference play, but Rob Perry, I am not looking forward to playing him twice a year at least for the next 3 years after this. He's a freshman. That Stetson team is young, and he's the best player on the floor.
Yeah.
He can make a shot from anywhere.
We contained him a little bit the second go around, but that first one he went off.
Sort of,
like,
but not even. He went off both games.
The first one was like 28 points, wasn't it?
I think. Let me check real quick. But yeah, I think you're right. But even the second game, Rob Perry 24 points, 4 of 5 from 3. Yeah, we didn't contain him at all.
I thought he was more like 16, 18, which still isn't even really containing him. But...
Now with Lipscomb, they have a couple of really good freshmen too. Or not, Lipscomb. Yeah, they have a couple of really good freshmen too. Asadula. I don't know how to say his name because a bunch of people say
he's not a freshman.
No, he's a sophomore though. Not that much better. And last time we played them, he showed out. But they also have seniors Fleming, Buckland, KJ Johnson was he's the guy with the big hair. He didn't play very well the first time we played them when we ended up winning, but he showed up the second time. So it's which Johnson are we going to get? Who are we going to be able to contain? And it's a lot up in the air.
Yeah, I honestly think we have a pretty good chance at beating Lipscomb in that first round matchup. They're record-wise, they're not that much better than us, and we did split. Mm-hmm. And coming in, it's always something when you're coming in as like the underdog / the visiting team in tournament time that gives you that edge. So we'll see who wants it more. I mean, Allen Arena is not a very crazy environment, so I think we got a chance to come in and set the tone and run away with one. And then we'll see what happens the second go around. I know we won't have a home matchup more than likely.
The only way we get a home match is if there's some big upsets.
Yeah, we'd have to play
it would NJIT and
then,
Jacksonville would have to, either one of those, something like that. One of those two would have to upset their opponent and we'd have to win.
Well, I'd like to take a minute to send a...
Sit right there. I'll tell you how big...
No. I'd like to take a minute to send a virtual hug to Kennesaw State. I mean, man, 1-28, not a conference win. How do you, what, if you're a player involved with the staff on that team, like, what are you thinking?
It's funny, like, you're talking about us, like,
I know they had injuries, but I mean,
right, but us and our fans and our team is so used to winning that it's hard to go through what we're going through now. I feel like, and I mean this with the least amount of salt as I can, just salt-free food, that Kennesaw fans are almost used to losing. I mean, wouldn't you say that? Like,
oh, I'm sure that the fan base hasn't really paid attention.
Yeah, they're used to losing.
The overall fan base hasn't. So,
like for if I'm a Kennesaw fan, at least putting myself in their shoes, we went they win like 4 games last year, 7 maybe. I don't know, something bad. And it's worse this year. But you have a new coach in place, a guy you're excited about, a guy who brought in some good players, and then they go through all these injuries. It's almost like. There's potential that those good players that were injured could have come back, but why have them come back? Like, to this team, you're not going to win anything. So, even I don't know if that's the case or not, but you almost stash them for next year, maybe redshirt them, medical or whatever, and then you have a exciting kind of young. It's been look at next year for them for the whole season. It's kind of that mode.
I just can't fathom. I'm looking at the standings right now at the conference standings. And just looking at .000 winning percentages is nuts.
Yeah.
And their only win was against Gardner-Webb, and I'm not sure what they've done.
I think they're D1, though. I think
they're D1, but
yeah,
they're probably in the bottom quadrant.
No, whatever's more than a quadrant, they're in the bottom of that. Yeah. Probably. Another interesting thing about the North Alabama game is the press conference afterwards. I kind of feel bad, but I sort of didn't realize that Cyrus Largy didn't play. Like, I guess it's just because you didn't notice
It wasn't a boring game. I mean.
Right. It was a great game. You weren't like, where is somebody who can help us, And also with the starters, he's been starting the last couple games, but it was senior night, so Roquant, I just found out that's how you say the last name. Roquant and Hoffman got the start as well as Tracy Hector, so it wasn't like, where's Cyrus? He's been starting. He's not there. And so it was just out of my mind. And then in the press conference afterward, he mentioned, Cyrus getting some rest after, and I guess he has the flu. So I don't know how quick this flu is going to leave him and whether we'll have him or not by Tuesday is the game. But good luck to him regardless. Shout out to all the seniors as well. Roquan, I think he's like genius level smart. Isn't he like a junior or something?
Yeah, I was watching that video on Twitter, and Tracy Hector was the only true senior because Hoffman was a redshirt junior.
Right.
And Roquan,
and again, it's his 4th year, I think.
Oh, is it?
Because if you're a redshirt junior, it means it's your 4th year. Yeah.
True. Well, then Roquan was
he's a
redshirt sophomore.
So he's actually 3 years in university. This is his 3rd year.
Freaking nerd. I'm just kidding. Congrats to you, man. That's awesome.
Congrats, man. Estero born and raised or something, and
it took me 5 years, so
right.
Saving money. So yeah, kind of a frustrating season, but it's to be expected. We can't all have the best year ever. Liberty and UNF ended up co-sharing the regular season title, and then the actual ASUN titles to be determined by I think March 8th, 9th, something like that.
Yeah.
10th.
It's and then pretty quick slate of games. They usually make quick work of it. Because, March is for March Madness, not your conference.
I was about to say, it's March 1st on the day we're recording this, so happy March, everyone.
Yeah.
Buckle up, because it's always a ride. I wonder who...
Get your wallets ready for your brackets and money and all
I'll be honest, I haven't really been into the nitty-gritty and details of all the other teams. And
nobody is till March anyway. They lie.
But the true nerds are.
Yeah.
And I don't know who might be the Cinderella this year, but...
Dayton.
Yeah. Shout out Brett Comer and Dayton
man.
squad. They're tearing it up. I think they're on a 19 or 20 game winning streak.
I'm definitely having a Dayton winning it all bracket.
Yeah, that'd be
for one of my brackets.
That'd be dope. But yeah, looking forward to Tuesday's game against Lipscomb. See what we can do in the tourney. I'm always positive and rooting for us no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, if we win, sweet. If we win the next one, sweeter.
Even sweeter. That'd be unreal, but yeah.
At the same time, and this is just me talking, I kind of say it was like Liberty and us in the ASUN tournament. I kind of wouldn't want us to win. And let me tell you why. I would to spoil Liberty, but they've had such a hell of a year. And I'm not even trying to diss us, but I'd almost rather have them represent the ASUN in the tournament.
I hear you. For a conference notoriety and notability standpoint.
Unless all of a sudden a major switch gets turned and we look like...
Ooh, what about this? What if we get to the championship or whenever we're going to face Liberty? It could be the second round. And we face them and we win. But because they're so good and ranked so highly, it's a 2-bid league in the ASUN. They become a 15 seed or a 16 seed or something.
That would be interesting.
Whereas if they won, they're probably looking at a 14 or better seed, maybe 12 even.
But do you think a loss to us would bring them down so much that they don't get the automatic bid?
Well, you can ask the old geezers voting on all that.
Because I still don't know. Say they won out. Mm-hmm. Well, I can't. Sorry. Say they get to the final and lose, and it's to UNF, who's respectable in the ASUN. I still don't know if they'd get an automatic bid.
Yeah.
Just you got so many other teams that have more powerful conferences.
It'd be a shame if they didn't, honestly.
Yeah, they'd be a 5-loss team. They'd be
that's
20,
all recency bias is all it is. If on
they'd
the
be
whole,
28 or 29-5, something like that.
Right. If those losses came earlier in the season, they'd be like, "Oh, Liberty's great," but because they came later in the season, it would mean differently, which is just not an accurate representation.
But no, don't get it twisted. I want us to win, but may the best team win and represent the ASUN. That's how I feel. So we'll see what happens. We got we're probably gonna do one more closing pod, as long as life doesn't get in the way. Hell, you may be in the process of moving by the time that happens.
Hey, even if we are, we'll get it done. Got to wrap up the season somehow. Yeah,
we'll recap wherever we end up at the end of the season. We got some fun things for off season. Got some 2019-2020 awards that we kind of are having fun with.
A little satirical, a little bit funny.
Nothing super serious.
Yeah.
And then some fun things to do in the off season. Some stuff to fuel some talk and banter and
lots to talk about.
Yeah. I think we're going to start recruiting guests because I'm sure people are sick of listening to me ramble and you ramble. And
Yep. That's going to do it here. We're just wrapping up the regular season.
Oh.
I
would like to thank Mr. John Sinnott for allowing us the opportunity to kind of hang out on the baseline this year and do this. It's been awesome. We hope to continue it and expand and get more involved. I mean, we did a lot of article writing. Shout out Russell, real busy with that. We want to keep going with it. So
yeah, it was definitely a great bonus to get the credentials and be able to kind of build what we've built so far, and get help doing that, and like you said, expand
just to
for
see
the future.
the behind the scenes and
right.
And,
just try to do what we do as fans and as media, better. And it's been a blessing. So that's going to do it for this podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in and continue to do so. We got a lot planned, like we've been saying, and we'll come back at you with however this season officially ends after the tournament, or wherever FGCU ends up at the end. We're gonna break that down for you and take you into the off season, take good care of you, and thanks.